Dense fog will stick with us through the night and a chance of showers this weekend. Blaze is out on the weather patio with more on the upcoming forecasts.
That's right. The dense fog is going to be sticking around. Visibilities continue to remain low across central and southern Wisconsin on this Thursday evening. So if you still have friends or family to send home from the holidays, wait until tomorrow because we're going to say goodbye to this fog as we go throughout your morning hours on Friday. That dense fog advisory has been extended until 9 o'clock tonight. After that, while we'll still be dealing with the dense fog, it's going to continue to thin or go away as southerly winds take on over and our next low pressure system moves on in. Really by about 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow morning onwards, we say goodbye to the fog and replace that with cloudy conditions, maybe some drizzle and some rain showers as well. But the best chance for rain is going to hold off until Friday night into Saturday. So we'll track that out and talk about just how much rain we could see before we go into the weekend and during the full forecast. But we're headed into only the upper 30s to low 40s tonight. Many of us have probably already reached the coolest point of our night, and from here on out, our temperatures climb. We're nearing 50 for your Saturday. We'll track that out too in just a few minutes.
All right, Blaze, thank you. The City of Madison clerk announced today nearly 200 ballots from the November 5th general election went uncounted. Now, it's not enough to affect the outcome of any races, but our Ellie LaLiberté joins us now to break down exactly what happened here, Ellie.
The 193 uncounted ballots were from wards 56, 65, and 68. Those are on the southwest side of the downtown. Now, I spoke with the mayor's chief of staff today, Sam Mungler, who says this mistake in this capacity is extremely uncommon, but it is problematic. At this time, the city officials are not sure what caused the ballots to be misplaced. Mungler says looking into this could take weeks, but all of the ballots found were sealed. Conversations are underway with the clerk's office that ensuring that this won't happen again, but Munger recognizes the impact of the issue.
It was human error and it was a relatively small number of ballots in the grand scheme of things, but we know that this is exactly the kind of thing that makes people worry. And so that's why we're taking it very seriously. That's why we issued these statements, more or less immediately as soon as our office found out, even though it's over the holidays, I recognize, but we wanted to be as transparent as quickly as possible about this because we do think it's a big deal in terms of people's perception.
Now, here are the events that led to the discovery. On November 12th, staff from the clerk's office discovered a sealed bag containing 125 unprocessed absentee ballots. On December 3rd, clerk's office staff discovered another sealed bag containing 68 more unprocessed ballots. On December 18th, the Madison clerk's office emails the Wisconsin Election Commission informing them of the situation. This leads the WEC attorney to contact the Madison city attorney, who then alerts the mayor's office. On December 23rd, the clerk's office traces ballots and provides a written explanation. And then today on the 26th, a statement is released to the public, and the city is also contacting each of the affected voters to apologize.
Ellie, thank you. One person is dead after a fire. It happened in Portage on Christmas Eve. Fire crews were called to a home on East Conant Street for reports that an upstairs resident was still inside the home. Fire and smoke were showing when firefighters arrived. A rescue team was able to find the resident and move them outside. They were taken to a hospital but later died. The Department of Justice is currently investigating that fire. A man taken to the hospital after police say he crashed into a bus station. The accident reported a little before 9:30 Monday night at Wright and Anderson Streets. The 56-year-old driver was injured in the crash. He's been charged with operating while intoxicated. The Wisconsin Department of Agriculture says it has identified bird flu in Burnett County. The case reported in a commercial poultry flock. The agency is now working with the U.S. Department of Agriculture on the case. Birds on the property have already been culled to stop the spread. The department says there's no immediate threat to the general public. As state lawmakers prepare for the new session next year, new policy proposals are on the table, and that includes marijuana. Political reporter Will Keneally has more on what we can expect.
Democrats often call Wisconsin an island of marijuana legalization in the Midwest, with neighbors like Minnesota, Michigan, and Illinois having recreational use. Now, we asked Wisconsin lawmakers as part of our series of year-end interviews what we could see in the next session.
I think it's time for us to have a serious conversation.
Democrats in Wisconsin have been pushing for legal marijuana for years now.
Well, it's an incredibly popular issue, right? The people of Wisconsin made very clear that they would like to see medical and recreational marijuana legalized.
But Republican lawmakers are only part of the way there.
I certainly think medicinal marijuana is something that should happen in Wisconsin. I've been a supporter of it for a decade.
Speaker Robin Vos, who sets policy in the state assembly, isn't on board with full legalization.
I think we have too many drugs in society already. So that's the challenge that my caucus has always had, is how do we put a program together that doesn't end up like most of the other states where it started out medicinal and ends up recreational.
But Democrats are encouraged by gains they made in this November's election.
We've got a lot more people in close districts. I think we're going to have a lot of Republican legislators showing up, wanting to pass popular legislation and be able to go home and tell their constituents that they're listening to them. So I'm hopeful that we're going to see some progress on that issue this year.
Part of the sticking point in past years has been whether Wisconsin should have state-run dispensaries or not. Now, we could see this taken up when lawmakers meet again in January.
All right, Will, thank you. Well, the holiday shopping season isn't over. Today is Boxing Day, where many stores have post-Christmas sales. National Retail Federation considers November 1st to December 31st the entire holiday shopping season. According to NRF, 71% of consumers plan to shop the week after Christmas. 26% are expected to use their gift cards. 16% are expected to return or exchange gifts. A UW professor of consumer science says it's important to be mindful of return policies and gift cards.
There's something you want to return, there's no harm in returning items. Just really be clear on what your process looks like. And with gift cards, I do think it is smart to be mindful around getting those used quickly. Because again, a lot of people end up thinking like, oh, I'm going to save this for a special occasion and kind of forget they have them.
Holiday sales are expected to increase by about 3% from last year. According to NRF, the top gifts bought this year are clothing and accessories, followed by toys and then gift cards. Well, tomorrow, one lucky lottery player could end the year with a huge win. The Mega Millions jackpot has gone over the $1 billion mark. It sits at $1.15 billion. In 2023, 10 jackpots made it over that milestone, but so far this year, only 3 have done it. Wisconsin lottery officials have one important tip for the lucky winner.
The first thing we always recommend that people do is sign the back of the ticket. So if you win on Friday, you want to sign that ticket. That makes it your ticket. You are the owner of that ticket.
Wisconsin has never had a lottery player claim the whole jackpot. If you do win, you have 180 days to claim that ticket. City of Madison set to start collecting Christmas trees next week. The Streets Division will provide 2 rounds of curbside collection. The first will begin on January 6th. The second will take place January 21st. To have your tree collected, you have to remove the stand, of course, along with all decorations. Don't place your tree in any kind of bag. Crews will only collect trees. Wreath, boughs, and other evergreen decorations simply go into your trash can. Every year, people in the U.S. throw away billions of pounds of used clothing and textiles. Well, now California is holding clothing and textile companies responsible for their products from start to finish. It's the first state in the nation to enact new laws requiring apparel and textile makers fund a reuse, repair, and recycling program. American Circular Textiles helped advocate for the policy. Clothing and textile companies could be required to provide drop-off or collection systems for used garments.
What I would like to see out of bills like this is a huge network of resale and thrifting and repair pop up. It should be the norm that you walk into any store and a lot of the clothing could be resold.
Textiles are currently the fastest growing component of California's waste stream. The law is expected to be fully enacted in 2030. Hilldale announces when it'll be hosting its annual menorah lighting. The lighting is set to take place at 4 in the afternoon on December 29th. The Chabad of Madison is organizing the event on the green near the LL Bean store. In addition to the lighting, there will also be music, refreshments, and a traditional gelt drop with the Madison Fire Department. The 9-foot-tall menorah will remain at the green throughout the holiday. Later at 6, storms across the country are disrupting flights for many travelers and investigating that deadly plane crash in Kazakhstan. What Ukrainian officials say really caused it. That's next.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
Speculation is growing over the cause of a deadly plane crash that killed at least 38 people on Christmas Day in the nation of Kazakhstan. Michael Yoshida has the details.
A day of mourning in Azerbaijan for dozens killed in an airliner crash in Kazakhstan, as new questions swirl over what caused the plane to come down. The flight was traveling from Azerbaijan to the Russian Republic Chechnya Wednesday before its rapid descent and crash landing in Kazakhstan. Azerbaijan Airlines and Russia's Federal Air Transport Agency previously said a collision with birds caused the crash. But the head of Ukraine's Center for Countering Disinformation disputes that claim, writing on social media that the plane was shot down by a Russian air defense system. Video and images of the plane debris show perforations that look similar to damage from shrapnel or debris. The cause of these holes has not been confirmed.
If it were a missile attack, that's what you would look for, is these small pieces of shrapnel that go through the control systems. And judging by the flight characteristics of the aircraft after this period of time that it tried to fly for 20 minutes, you can see it wasn't just an up and down thing, which you would see with a bird strike. But in this case, it went left, it went right, which would indicate to me that there was loss of flight control systems.
Officials from countries linked to the deadly disaster, including Russia, have urged people not to speculate until investigations are complete. In Washington, I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
And CNN is now reporting that according to a U.S. official, there are early indications that a Russian anti-aircraft system may have downed the airliner. A commission has been set up to investigate the crash involving representatives from the countries involved in the plane's route. 5 journalists are dead after an overnight Israeli strike in Gaza hit a vehicle belonging to their Gaza-based television channel. The 5 were all sleeping when the vehicle was hit. The Israel Defense Forces say the individuals were military operatives posing as journalists. The U.S.-based Committee to Protect Journalists says at least 141 media workers have been killed in Gaza, the West Bank, Israel, and Lebanon since October 7th of last year. President-elect Donald Trump has focused a lot of his most recent rhetoric on international affairs, including social media posts on Christmas Day giving well wishes to Chinese soldiers illegally operating the Panama Canal. China does not control the canal, but a subsidiary of a Hong Kong company does have a contract to manage 2 ports located at the canal's entrance. Trump claims U.S. ships are being unfairly charged for transit from crossing the canal, which the U.S. built and ran for decades before turning it over to Panama back in 1999.
They haven't treated us fairly. If the principles, both moral and legal, of this magnanimous gesture of giving are not followed, then we will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to the United States of America.
Trump has named Miami-Dade County Commissioner Kevin Marino Cabrera as his pick to be ambassador to Panama. Cabrera could be tasked with negotiating a new deal for use of the canal. A new poll conducted by the Associated Press in early December shows many Americans are exhausted with political news. About 2/3 of Americans say they felt the need to limit media consumption about politics and government. Both Democrats and Republicans are feeling the need to step away. According to the poll, 7 in 10 Democrats say they're avoiding political news. 6 in 10 Republicans say the same. But historically, ratings bounce back after the chaos of election season dies down. Long lines at airports across the country today as travelers head back home after the holiday. But challenging weather is disrupting flights for many. Nationwide, the TSA expects to screen nearly 40 million passengers from December 19th through January 2nd. That's a 6% increase from a year ago. But storms in the south are delaying flights in Dallas and Houston, while heavy winds are disrupting flights in the Pacific Northwest.
I am nervous about that. It's storming in Houston, so we'll see.
Winter weather alerts in place for as much as 1 foot to 3 feet of snow from the Cascades to the Sierra, as well as the upper Rockies through the weekend.
For those hitting the roads, AAA forecasts the busiest time today would be between noon and 5 p.m. Well, after the break, Blaze tells us about our rain chances coming this weekend. Plus, banning phones in schools, how a nonprofit is helping students find a balance when it comes to using their devices.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
A new Minnesota state law requires school districts to adopt a policy on cell phone use by March. But one nonprofit's already gotten a jump start, working with students to help them find a balance on those devices. For over 5 years, Live More, Screen Less has collaborated with community stakeholders to support young people. At Two Rivers High School, students host log-off lunches where devices go unused. At a recent leadership summit, club members had the ears of leaders from public health, education, government, and technology firms like Google. And these students initially wondered how an updated cell phone policy would impact them, but they say it's working.
We felt more focused in class, that we didn't have the opportunity to be distracted by technology and like checking Snapchat, checking whatever it is.
I think this club keeps me accountable because as saying that I'm a large part of the club, I have to demonstrate that, and I can't be someone who's on my phone.
And while the nonprofit has seen positive steps forward, organizers say much more action is needed. Well, getting good sleep is important to our overall health, but health officials say many adults aren't getting sufficient sleep due to watching TV late at night. The Cleveland Clinic says there's no blue light filter on a TV, and that can negatively impact your sleep, especially the stage when most dreams happen.
That's when we have that restless kind of sleep that we go into, and we may be sleeping, quote unquote, but we're waking up and we're not rested.
They also say you can break bedtime habits by avoiding caffeine and alcohol before bed, as well as afternoon naps. If you need background noise, try using a sleeping mask to block the TV lights, or put a timer on the TV to automatically turn it off after an hour or two. A warm up on the way for the Madison area. That could see temps get into the 50s. Is that right, Blaze?
That's right. We'll be fairly close, if not in those low 50s by Saturday. We're opening up the Gulf of Mexico essentially tonight, and that's going to allow two weather systems to move out of the deep south northwards. The first one is going to be moving through as we go out throughout your Friday. It's bringing severe weather threats to parts of the south now, and that's going to continue to keep this dense fog around. And then as we go into your Saturday, that first system moves on through, takes the fog with it, but then we do with the rain showers starting later Friday, especially Friday night into Saturday. That second system is going to stay off to our south and east, but we're not going to close off the Gulf until maybe New Year's Eve into New Year's Day. So here's that system bringing severe weather to the deep south now, or at least a threat of it. Rain showers beginning to move in, or at least a chance of them starting in the morning hours, but the best chance for more of that widespread heavy rain is going to be overnight into Saturday, as the center of this low pressure system is moving through parts of western Wisconsin. And because of its path going really directly northwards, we're not going to be capitalizing on maybe a pocket of cooler air, unlike northwestern Wisconsin. So we're not going to see any blue or snow here across central and southern Wisconsin. As that low pressure system pushes off towards the northeast, that second system that's going to move through will stay off to our south. And that again continues to keep that Gulf of Mexico, that warm air here overhead. We don't really have anything moving out of the northwest to usher in that cooler air until we go into your New Year's Eve into New Year's Day. We'll touch on that here in just a moment. Again, starting off big picture, let's move it in closer to home. Rain chances beginning as we go into your Friday morning, but the best chance for rain is going to be as we go into the mid to late afternoon, overnight into your early Saturday morning. We're looking at anywhere between maybe 1/4 of an inch of rain, where we find these darker blues and even these light blues. That's about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain, maybe upwards of an inch in some localized spots. So this is a very healthy system. A lot of moisture coming out of the Gulf of Mexico with this system as we go into your Friday night into Saturday. The system that brings down cooler air is going to hold off until New Year's Eve into New Year's Day. Right now, the current path really has it staying south of really central Illinois, and that's key to pulling a lot of that moisture, keeping a lot of that moisture off to our south. We still get the cold air, but none of that moisture is being pushed northwards over the cold air. It turns from rain to snow and then falls here across central and southern Wisconsin. The path, this green one here, is just too far south. We'd want that just slightly northwards, really cutting across northern Illinois to get a lot of that moisture out of the south. It interacts with the cooler air and then falls as snow here across southern and central Wisconsin. We're looking at maybe 1 inch of snow as we go into the new year. But again, behind that, cooler air. It's going to start to feel once again like winter as we go from the 40s to almost near 50s Friday and Saturday and Sunday, back to the 30s New Year's Eve, and then New Year's Day onwards. We're in those mid to upper 20s with flurry chances Wednesday and Thursday of next week.
All right, Blaze, thank you. When we come back, Netflix NFL game had a big star perform what fans thought of Beyonce's halftime performance.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
Beyonce performed in a 13-minute halftime show that streamed on Netflix as part of yesterday's game between the Ravens and Texans. The star sang a medley of hits, including Texas Hold'em from her album Cowboy Carter. It was the first time she performed the songs in front of a live audience. Her daughter, Blue Ivy, joined Beyonce on the field, who also performed duets with Shabuzi and Post Malone. Fans say they loved the show.
Who else is going to do halftime? I mean, I think she should do Super Bowl again, too, but hey, that's just me.
Beyonce's album Cowboy Carter earned 11 Grammy nominations. Well, don't forget to check out this week's special holiday edition of the Wisconsin Huddle. Sports director Zach Hanley looks back at some of the best moments during the first 14 episodes. That show airs Friday at 6:30 right here on News 3 Now. And Blaze is back with a final check of the forecast. And I had somebody just text me from Milwaukee. They're trying to drive back to this area. I said, be careful out there. The fog is thick.
Yes, be careful. It is still very dense across southern Wisconsin, that dense fog advisory through 9 o'clock tonight. Most of us have very limited visibility, so if you do have to drive tonight or early on Friday, just please be careful. Upper 30s to low 40s tonight. It's going to be a mild night considering we should be dipping to about 15 degrees, and we'll be there next week. So if you don't like the cold, enjoy the warmth while it's here. It sticks around through at least Monday. We could flirt with the 50s on Saturday. Heaviest rain Friday night into Saturday. New Year's Eve looking like it's going to be quiet for now, so celebrations at least Tuesday night into Wednesday shouldn't be disrupted. If that changes, we'll let you know, and then we're into the 20s to kick off the new year.
Not too bad. We've had some really cold New Year's Eves through the year. Blaze, thank you. Thanks for joining us, folks. Have a great evening. We'll be back here tonight for News 3 Now at 10.